looking forward to is what kind of mid lane priority we're going to be seeing. The same 3 bans here coming out from WE, the Annie, the Poppy, and the Gwen. A lot of these champions very good, especially the Poppy between Tian and Crisp. And then the Annie being in the hands of Xiaohu, just make it very easy for them to have that point and click go button. We came out of the break, we came into the break from Game 2 talking about what mid lane champions we were expecting from Xiaohu, whether or not we were going to get that Aurora, whether we were going to see a Sylas or an Orianna, 3 champions that are still up and ready to go.
Does Karis want to start pinching that pool himself? He will grab that Aurora, take them off the board. Now starting to think about what pairings does Monki want with this Aurora. What we're going to look for going forward for WE. Does give an early start here for Weibo. Is Xiaohu is really a fan of one of these many champions we've been naming, and he knows the Aurora matchup. I wonder if they take mid here on the R1, R2. Don't have to commit to that just yet.
Yeah, the Orianna matchup is slightly Aurora favored. The ranges on her abilities are at the very max range of Orianna Q. If you can kind of weave that in between, it does become a bit of an Orianna skewed matchup in lane. But Aurora just has way too much mobility, and her passive makes her so deadly to deal with. So right now what we're seeing from Weibo, Vi finally makes it on through, and we get Chris, one of his legendary champions when it comes to the support position, Rakan here. So the engage from Weibo is going to be very nice, and you just get a point and click, honestly. It's exactly the kind of pairing I want to see from them in this game number 3.
And both of those champions kind of solve the worries that you were a lot of the worries, not the lane worries that you were talking about with this Orianna, right? So now you have reliable ways to get this shockwave onto whatever target you really want with that cease and desist, and then some extra follow up with the charms that Crisp can throw down. So that's something that W going to have to make a very big adjustment about, because there's no way for them really to block this Orianna until we get into the second phase of bans. Monki, though, has gotten his Wukong taken away later in 2 drafts, so he's going to make it a point to dodge that ban here. All can give some serious team fight wombo ability to WE, and it's all circle-based.
Is this Xayah? That's all I'm thinking about. Because if this is not Xayah, Ezreal immediately pop out of my mind as 2 champions that are going to need to be either banned or in some way snapped up here by Weibo. Because they are on red side, they will have first pick coming out of this second phase of draft. It's going to be the Victor locked in here. So Weibo already keying to us. They want a low and slow game. You have already a lot of action and crowd control coming in from your support and jungle. But WE, this damage dealing combo of these 3 champions makes me a bit worried for Weibo if they do not pick champions that are going to be able to receive a dive coming on through.
I think Xiaohu has put himself in a very treacherous spot for sure. Staring down a Wukong and Aurora and a Leona on this immobile Victor. AD carries, though, the bans, they're getting thrown out. Like you called out, you thought it was going to come through. Good to see WE take away that Xayah, the protections that offers. I wonder if either team decides to ban out Ezreal, if we're talking about safe marksman options. Taeyoon, one of his most prominent AD carries by far, is that Ezreal. But it won't be banned away from him. Will Light decide to select it if WE don't take that away? Because I'm expecting 480 carry bans, and yeah, Ezreal does end up slipping through here.
The Senna is so interesting to me. Not a champion that we've seen a ton of Taeyoon play, and against the Vi, it's just not something you're really thinking about. I theoretically would like a misfortune here for Taeyoon. You have so many ways of being able to prop up the misfortune ultimate. One of the problems being, though, is that there is a Victor and there's also a Vi. So what do WE go for? It's going to be the Sivir here for Weibo. Allows for them to move in between lanes very fast. Again, that wave clear is going to be incredibly important for Weibo when it comes to establishing priority within the minion waves.
Are we just full on scale fighting? I guess that's where we're at now in the current meta. Smolder or Aphelios both fit that bill aptly, and all right, your latest ticket time on League of Legends is going to make its way to this series. Taeyoon putting Weibo on the clock. Does Karis go for this Sylas? There are some valuable ultimates to take here.
getting that Vi ultimate, even getting the Rakan ultimate does have a lot of value. It's also one of the few matchups, I think, for the Victor matchup where it's not going to be as punishing. In laning phase, again, Victor can be a bit of a bully sometimes, but I just don't like it from WE. I don't think that they're a particularly clean team when it comes to their setups. I think we saw that in both of their games. They're very aggressive, and Smolder wants this game to be really slow, but I'm looking at this from Weibo's side. My Sivir is going to permanently shove waves under the turret, so we need to be diving this Smolder. I'm going to have a Victor that gets to scale up for free for the most part. It looks like this is going to be an Aurora top lane into Cassante, which isn't even as punishing as it necessarily could be. I have many questions. This is a very weird and wacky and unorthodox WE draft coming on through.
It gives me the vibe of like trying to cover a bunch of phases of the game, because you bring in like a lot of skirmish-oriented champions for like your early to mid-game fights. With this Wukong from Monki, you get a lot of value out of the Aurora in the lane, even if it isn't the best into the Cassante, and then Silas is always about skirmishing. Then you have the like insurance. You're also dipping into the scaling by bringing in the insurance policy of this Smolder that I think, like you mentioned, doesn't fit. It can be punished out as well. It's like you're taking too many dishes out of the buffet. You're stacking up the plate with too much, and it's just going to end up getting soggy and mushy by the time you get it back to your table.
You know who would play this WE draft? Every time I see Aurora top lane, the only two teams I think that would play this, and a team that would definitely play Smolder, is AL. Anyone's Legend, for sure. Flandra playing the Aurora. You get Tarzan on, a Wukong. This feels like a draft that they would play, but
Silas.
These are not the players who would be able to pull this one off. I have so many worries for a Smolder operating in this game. There is no true frontline aside from Aurora by herself. And even with Vi in her weakened state, she has pick of the litter when it comes to her engage.
Well, worries are brought to the forefront because we are back on the Rift for the final time today, tonight, wherever you are. Big floating rock. I'm still here to grade the Gyos. All right, they're getting a bit better. Still expect more though. It was worse in game 2 for sure.
They've been getting better. To be fair, we are on day number 5 of the show. Okay?
Yeah.
This is day number 5 of split number 3. There's a lot of splits. We have 42 days in a row. So,
woo!
To be fair, if I was an LPL fan and I lived in China, I am one of those things at least, I probably wouldn't be going to every single game. So, makes sense. We can take a look at this game right now. None of the runes really sticking out to me. We saw Vampire switch over to the Spellbook after game number 1. And this is actually teleport here for Taeyoon, so expecting to be a bit more relevant in the lane, wanting to keep up the pressure. Does mean that he doesn't have anything like a heal or a barrier to save him come time for a jungle ganker later on into the game.
Yeah, I think you're just paying the Sivir tax, is what that TP signals to me, like you're talking about. Stay competitive in lane and mostly just stay competitive in the farm game. Especially how we know Smolder stacks operate. As we settle into these lanes. Junglers with interesting clears on both sides, mirroring on both sides as Vampire classic level 1 wants to throw hands. He's going to flash forward to get the stun back over, and Crisp is down. Calculated endeavor by Vampire, and WE get the ultimate opening bloodshed.
That's great. I don't even care that it went on to Vampire there. All that matters here for Taeyoon is that he's getting the kill credit and that he's also landing his spells. So, I mean, Taeyoon's already off to an advantage. That was 3 summoner spells in trade for Chris' life and his heal. I don't know how worth it it's going to be. Xiaohu now.
Trickster going to get Monki out of the Graviton well. Xiaohu looking a bit more sharp in this game 3.
I'm still very worried here, Slayer, because what's happened now is there was very minor damage applied to Xiaohu. Crisp, he can still flash. He has flash, he has his W, he still has a grand entrance, he's fine, but he comes back to lane with 30% HP. Karis is getting slammed in this matchup right now, and Monki, all he's done is shown that he started on the bottom side of the map, which is free info for the enemy team.
Vampire is just, I mean, I know the OG Vampire fans are freaking out over how crazy is in this lane already. That's
Aragon is slamming holes into his table in excitement right now.
100%. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Shout out Aragon. But that is Chris going for a second reset. Speaking of lanes getting slammed, that Aurora's not feeling too hot for Breathe either. Think you're going to have to sacrifice that TP advantage, buddy. Or give a TP advantage over here pretty soon for Cube, who's going to use that Demolish to take a plate. Just as we expected all, there's just kind of chaos everywhere in a Game 3 between these two squads.
They're playing an aggressive strategy. This is exactly what we needed to see from Team WE with the lanes that they've set up for themselves.
Monkey,
they do not want this to be going late.
Oh,
20. It's okay. It's okay. He gets it. He won't be able to steal respawn Raptors, which is pretty depressing as a jungler, but he looks at the game right now. He's even in CS on his bottom lane, which is fine for the Smolder. Even if the Sivir was going to crash these waves in, he's not going to be able to do much. He's just going to basically hold him underneath his turret, which does allow for Chris to roam, but Taeyoon's already recalled and picked himself up a Pulse. He is generating a little bit more value with every single CS he's able to get over his opponent.
And now we finally see Breathe decide to take that reset and get back on over the top side with his own TP. Try and catch a quick farm there. Well, mid laners dropping their TPs, so that's going to make it for interesting lane assignments. I do like this move from WE. And, well, I didn't even realize the light's also going up here. So, yeah, we get that bottom lane shift once more. Luckily for Cube, though, with that TP advantage, he is able to match. But got to give credit to Weibo for at least making the TPs even in a top lane state that was getting pretty dire for Breathe. Where does
Personally,
this...
I don't know about you, Slayer, but I think with Cube still having Flash, they could have kept him topside to face off against the Sivir and Rakan with the weakened state that they're in, and then just put Smolder up against Cassante. You just farm that guy. You are spewing Dragon Breath on his head every 4 seconds, and Taeyoon could very quickly get out of hand with this call as well. He'll get extra gold from the mini waves. I feel, especially in a composition where you have triple teleport, you're allowed to be a little greedier than this.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point to make, because I think that plays into how much Monki is really wanting to prioritize dragons over grubs in this series. You know, you get that push into Cassante. That opens up a pretty free Drake take. But instead, now you, like you called out, are kind of back in somewhat of a neutral stance. A dragon's just waiting to be taken as Vampire once again looking to just throw hands on this Leona constantly. Grub's still about a minute 40 away. Tian near that Drake. Monki got a really deep pink ward. He feels confident going into this topside quadrant, but there's no camps to steal here.
All right, Vision is going to now spot out Tian here. Monkey's going to help push out this mid lane wave. Xiaohu instead says, look, I don't even want to push this wave. I'm just going to use my Arcane Storm, call it a day. Monkey's going to cross over and stop Tian, so wasted time here from the jungler of Weibo, especially with Vampire moving down. Part of the reason why we saw that trade on top side. Vampire pushes Crisp off, they get a little bit more wave time, and now Taeyoon gets to very freely farm this wave versus a Sivir that has no kill threat onto him, and allows for WE to contest for this objective. I love Spellbook, man. I love when supports can be a little bit more creative. It makes the monotony of the game break open a little bit more. So Vampire TP's right back out and is able to apply pressure all across this map.
The Vampire effect is just flying true, and how he's just, as you called out, played the map well, but limited Chris to just being a reset bot. He's taken 3 or 4 resets in this opening 7 minute and 30 frame. And that's why partly WE come away with this slight gold lead, all anchoring on the Vampire first blood as well. We've got the neutral dragon under their belt, and now we're going to see how much Weibo want to invest towards these grubs that they've been able to grab a majority of the time in this series as Vampire is once again going to just,
You're
absolute sicko. Can he get punished here by Chris?
He has Flash, he has Ignite. I don't think it matters, honestly. Like, this is fine. You're starting to reset the tempo of Light.
Grubs
Chris,
are up.
if he really wants to, he can respawn or he can go back. And this is so mean, bro. This is messed up. I mean, Look at where WE are, though. Where is Monki? He is nowhere near this objective. Tian has already gotten 1 grub. He maybe gets pushed off of getting 3, but this doesn't matter now. WE have wasted a lot of their time trying to stop Light from doing anything.
All right, he smites away the second one. Does have to burn the flash. He overstayed a bit long, but yeah, another game. Just like game 2, Weibo get 2 of the 3 grubs and don't have to pay much of a price for it.
All right, so it takes a lot of resources here from Team WE, but they're able to stop Light from... They're trapping him under this turret now. Monki will get spotted as level 6 here. They want to see if they can make this happen. I think this is fake, guys.
There's the cleanse, too, so both ways to stop any damage coming through for Light. Flashes away from the turret, but Monki gonna bap him down with the staff. Tian was thinking about vault breaking in, but now the TP's coming across from Karis to give even more of a man advantage, and Vampire, blinking health bar, able to get out. 2 kills under the belt of WE.
Traded the teleport away, so Monki gets at least 1 grub for his team. They didn't steal the red buff. And while they got multiple summoner spells out from Weibo, WE are continuing to apply pressure across the map. I like this early game strategy. It's a little scrappy. It's not perfect, but that's what we've come to expect with Team WE. And hopefully they can kind of translate this into maybe a mid-game, like, more meaningful advantage. They're only just barely under 1,000 gold of their opponents. And I'm looking at Smolder. Smolder's not all that stacked up right now.
No. Didn't get that free Cassante lane to just throw a bunch of dragon snot at him. They're going to send him back mid as both bot lanes arrive a little bit early to take control of these mid waves. As Vampire on cue, going for another aggressive exchange, but this time Crisp is doing a bit better job protecting Light. Does give WE control of that wave, and they'll work their way back down towards the river, but we're still ways away from any real big neutral objectives to come out. And that's where WE just kind of thrive on trying to force fight behind Vampire. Mom drop through between worlds. They're going after Tian. Breathe cannot hold this Aurora in place. But the Season 6 Knockup is going to make sure that Vampire is traded. Jungler for support. Definitely a win for WE is Weibo getting chased off of this river cube, knocking out enough damage without that between worlds to kill off Breathe. So a trade comes across, but WE defeats a Warfare secure.
This is really smart here from WE, not only by picking up that kill. Karis should be fine. He has a lot of movement speed. He's going to flash. Xiaohu can flash as well. He's waiting for his E-charge.
There it is. Xiaohu, as he finally awoken from his slumber, gets a solo kill. It feels like it's been ages since we've seen.
Yep. Still, an idea here from WE is get out some more summoner spells. That's no flash from Xiaohu, so something that they can look to punish in a few moments' time. There's a dragon spawning in 50, 3.5 before that before the Herald spawns. Jesus Christ. And another turret plate falling here for WE. They're going to also force out Breeze's teleport, more than likely. So getting themselves more and more summoner spell as an advantage, which starts to cut away at the unique plays and how they love to play the map from the side of Weibo. As we take a look at what exactly happened here, Karis was just trying to clear the mini wave, but he has just been getting battered by this Victor.
Interesting E, first cast the E there, knowing he's going to get hit by the draft so well. Really, I just don't think he respected Xiaohu's burst. With his cooldowns there. It's picked off. Like you called out, feels like feats of strength. Every little thing matters in these final games. Feats of strength, WE in really good position for, as you mentioned, bashing down turrets, and should have a pretty good setup for Dragon, I think. But they're indexing really hard onto this top side. Not going to be able to dive Xiaohu with Crisp protecting him for now. So we'll have to reset and get back towards the bot side of the map where the next big play should be coming.
If WE never punish Victor for not having flash, then I'm going to be very sad, because Karis' flash is infinitely less valuable than Xiaohu's. Like, just by way of being an immobile mage, there is a Wukong and a Leona in this game. If you do not have flash, you should be having 3 people in your lane trying to kill you. But with how this game has shaken out, especially with how the draft is looking here for WE, them having a Smolder means that they do need to kind of pivot themselves around Taeyoon in this game. So Monki's going to jump over the wall and start up the Dragon here. 2 dragons start for a team with a Smolder is really, really good here. Karis is not going to be able to match. He's trapped under his turret, and Weibo get first access into the river.
Here they go. They have the ward on the dragon. They know how low it is, but Monki secures it. Vampire the engaged target. Monki gets back on the wall of the Tricksters. Vampire can miss his flash. Tian gonna follow with the cease and desist at about max range. Flash forward comes across for Breathe between worlds down. Monki gets out with the Cyclone.
What are they doing?
Because Crisp is limping away. Tian's on the wrong side of the Krugs wall. This is just a catastrophe. Weibo not on the same page, grasping at straws, trying to find these kills to fight back, but WE are prepared. Let's see if they can chase down any more of these kills. With the Aurora damage, Breathe has to rely on those Cassante shields to live. But still another win for WE with the Dragon stacking.
I can't wait to see the replay on that, because Vampire was aura farming 3 members of Weibo. They did not know where the rest of the team was. They didn't know if there was a Wukong standing behind him, if he was in the pit. They had 0 idea of what was going on there from the side of WE. And Smolder gets to stack up 120 now. I'd kind of been a little bit critical of him beforehand, but now he's going to get at least to a second breakpoint here. Vampire had 3 members of Weibo tied up, and they invested so much for this play. Aurora's on their way. Even Breathe having to invest the flash. This smells like desperation from Weibo.
They're lucky it didn't cost them much more than Tian traded out for Vampire there. The win con's growing for this scaling Smolder. 125 stacks, definitely going to be a reality. Right on cue, Taeyoon gets to that marker. Not too far behind what I believe should be a rapid fire cannon second. And we have an Ocean Soul, a potent one for WE to continue to play for as a win con. A consistent staple so far for them in this series.
I love how aggressive Vampire has been. He has been, you would think in a lane that has a Smolder, you're not going to be moving forward. You're going to slow down the game. You're going to be looking for less engagements, but really trying to hone in on the right ones. But it feels like they're playing it as if it was a Kalista Renata lane or something of the like. So WE, they're starting up this Herald. Oh, just barely missing.
WE, they're just always fighting, and Xiaohu is completely caught out, way too far up that lane. It's the nice solo kill punishing Karis, but life's a circle. The punish comes right back towards him on the top side, and now it's a Herald for WE. This is the same sort of snowball style that got them game 1 and got them ahead last game as well.
Fortunately for WE, they still have teleports here for Karis, so he's going to be able to match this bottom lane. I thought maybe there was an angle here for Weibo to look for something. They're going to go for a dive onto this Silas. There's no minion wave now.
Already cut down. Breathe is taking up the turret. He's going to go all out. Karis flashes back. Exhaust comes across, but the turret's really ramping up and nearly takes out Crisp. Karis tries to at least catch one of the stragglers back out, but it's monumental. He survives 1v3. What is this teleport? Are they really going 1v4? All right, well, Karis is dead, but this costs so much for WE, and it's still taking time. Karis is still alive.
Oh my god,
he might even
no
get saved
way!
by Vampire. How is Karis alive?
And Taeyoon's now here to pick up farm. I mean, Monki's on the way. This could be a huge win.
Oh my god, this is just chaos. And somehow Taeyoon gets locked up through all of that, walks straight into Tian, dies. Monki trades out Breathe. Somehow Karis is not the one to die. Between Worlds comes across from Cube, gets a huge amount of the Aurora damage, dipping and dodging, waiting for his cooldowns to come back up, but even he gets locked up in the ground so well, and the Scythe comes out from Light to knock him down. Xiaohu flashing forward, gets the laser down. Karis won't drop, but he will to the TNE. No. Somehow, Weibo come out on top through all of that Ulk.
Oh my god, an overinvestment there from WE, and maybe if Taeyoon had just flashed underneath the turret, just small decisions from WE end up backfiring. Weibo will grab the first turret of the game, or their first turret of the game. And what looked like Karis doing the impossible now nets Weibo 4 kills, the kill onto the Smolder, a flash away from Cube and Karis, and then a solo turret here for Xiaohu. That is exactly what they wanted. Maybe not in the exact order that they would have preferred.
Yeah, I'm just baffled watching, honestly, both sides. Try and see who can throw harder.
Like, Taeyoon, flash this, brother. What are we doing? Yeah. Crisp is right next to you. You see everybody in this play. And, I mean, look, there are certain parts of this that are fine. The Chaos Storm, or the Arcane Storm, okay. Cube wastes his flash because he thinks that the Aurora ult is going to push him out. And then there's a small thing here that I'm looking towards. I don't know if it was Karis or if it was Leona, but someone stepped in front of Tian, and you're just gonna get killed either way with the E. So feels tough. We come back to live, and WE have spawned the Rift Herald. They're trying to jockey for position in this mid wave so they can get to Soul Point with this dragon up.
I don't even know if they're gonna get the crash off. Yes, they will. Turret still doesn't fall, but like you called out, inside track towards this river. Vampire gets the engage on the Xiaohu, steals the solar flare. They get all the ultimates layered on, but Xiaohu is just ignoring all this damage. Monki finally flashes in with the Cyclone to secure the kill. But Karis is trying to protect Taeyoon on the front side. The fight goes right back over the wall. Vampire flashing, trading places with his front line. Can WBG capitalize on some of these bad positions? No, because Cube is dodging and diving out. Tian flashing forward.
No.
Finally, the Sivir is starting to reel and rip through WE. 3 kills back over to Lyta. Triple kill, and Vampire the only one to leave to tell the tale.
What the hell, WE? Just slow down the game. We don't need to be throwing it at this advantage. You already have 2 dragons. The fact that you are playing a smolder composition, you got the first 2 dragons of the game, is a miracle by every single standard of measurement. You should be saying, okay, we got one of the grubs, we have feats of strength, we have the first 2 dragons of the game. We are chilling on the scaling. We do not need to be giving Weibo ways back into this game to give them gold and meaningful avenues to play this one out. We're just letting Sivir free hit our entire front line, and our team is clumping up to allow this to happen.
I mean, these battle lines just get absurd through this. Like, the amount of people that flash and dash over this big wall is absurd throughout this whole sequence.
It's funny, yes. I mean, the thing for me is, like, Taeyoon is stacking here. He is getting, like, stacks. They should be calmly saying, okay, look, Cube and Monki, sucks that you're going to go down here. Taeyoon, play your life, get out of this situation. But they're just giving over resources. They're losing fight after fight. They could have cut their losses, and now they're in a position where Dragon not only goes over to Weibo, now they're in no spot to contest for this Otacon. It's already half HP. Taeyoon's just now joined. He has 186 stacks. Guys, just wait for 40, please.
Vampire half HP. Monki no way to get in for the Otacon. Picked up by Weibo. Cube has to use the Invis cloak to get himself back out. And Otacon buffing up Weibo even further from this lead. And I mean, again, another game where 80 carry is such a wide gap. And in this one in particular, they take the items away. Both these guys on 2 items, but these 2 item spikes are not even in the same category with what they've built for each other.
Unfortunately, one of these guys has a rapid fire cannon, which just makes me sad. Look, you see Weibo. This is a classic dive composition. You have Cassante, Vi, Rakan, all of these champions are going to run into you. You do not need an RFC at this game point. You can even go for a Bloodthirster, honestly. Spear of Shojin works, just having that free 400 HP gives you enough stats to kind of be able to withstand. Crit chance does end up scaling with the Smolder build, but look, we're getting to that point. 22 minutes into this game, Dragon doesn't spawn for 3, Baron in the same timer, and Taeyoon's about to hit 225. This is exactly the spot where WE want to be, but we need to see them be able to find avenues, and how do they activate Taeyoon?
We need to see how we need to see them exercise some level of patience with how they go about these fights, for how fun it is to watch Vampire throw caution to the wind with these constant engages. It's starting to really cost WE. See how brash they are at defending this tier 1 turret. Got Karis and Vampire both in place. I'm glad you brought up the fact that out of all this, the Smolder stacks are about 1 wave away from capitalizing, because this, I just feel this game, despite everything, all the critical mistakes WE's made recently and Taeyoon position-wise, that we're just going to get a classic Smolder bailout, and it's going to piss me off.
This game is just rage bait. That's what I'm figuring out.
Facts.
WE are trying to make me mad. I'm not gonna let them. I'm gonna do some woosaws. I'm gonna think very nice, peaceful thoughts. I'm gonna think about Mimi. I was messed up. You should have just let your Smolder take the Raptors and get his free stacks, but it's fine. I guess you'll hit them anyway. If you take these 2, I'm gonna be also pissed. Please, man.
Hey, there we go.
I'm not gonna let them get to me. I'm not gonna let them get to me. It's fine. Taeyoon Smolder can't hurt me.
Execute threshold gained for Taeyoon. But still, a crawl back for the rest of WE. You see 1,000 gold lead in the mid lane right now for Xiaohu. Has that item breakpoint of his own. Santi is going to ignore all the solo lane damage with his build path. It'll be a real problem on the front end of some of these fights. Where does the next action come in this game? Baron and Ocean Drake about within a couple seconds of each other spawning on the Rift. We'll see where Weibo want to utilize those long lanes that they always like to use to set up. Maybe that's why they might go towards that Ocean Drake first before a Baron dance is called on.
No teleport here for Xiaohu, at least for the next 35 seconds, but Breathe has his. They need him to move him down. Same thing can be said here for Karis as he gets ready. Triple teleport, we haven't really seen Taeyoon use it all that much. I wonder how close he is to finishing that LDR, because you do have the ability to teleport. We haven't seen him use it all that often. I'm also a bit confused as to why he has LDR. You quite literally have an execute at 10% HP, but whatever. This is a second item coming on through for Karis. This could be a big potential spot, even if WE secure this dragon. It's not soul, but it is soul point, and you already have Taeyoon stacking so many dragon practice stacks. Seems like WE, though, they're more concerned about this dragon, or this Baron. They're just going to lose out on this for free. Weibo just take this so fast.
WE trading first track around the Baron pit for Drake stacking. I don't hate it knowing you aren't at a soul point juncture as Baron spawns, but as I say that, they don't make much of that inside track first. All their vision is cleared out pretty comfortably, and yeah, I'm glad you called it out with Taeyoon's teleport. Now with Vampire having TP, they have quad teleport. This is why we are worried about WE going forward in split 3 is their ability to play the map is just kind of lackluster, and this should be a spot where they are dominating it before Baron comes around.
Hey, Vampire, you got to be careful. Monkey's in the area. Thankfully, it only is a small bit of damage onto Vampire. That could have gone so much poorly for them. So much more poorly. Testing over a blue buff. Cube has not been spotted quite yet. It's going to be a 4-on-4. Breathe is now pushing. It's going to be a TP from Xiaohu. This is fine. This is perfectly okay. WE, what they can do now, push on this side lane. Karis, take this turret. Pings are coming on out. Get your gold. See if you can get some global gold so that Taeyoon can finish this third item.
Well, Weibo are going to call the bluff onto the Baron, and now I don't think Karis can go for that turret push. He's got to find a way to TP in. Xiaohu playing Protector on the front line as they're going to snap engage on the Monki with the cease and desist. Gets the Cyclone down. That turret is taken on the bot side, but Monki does not get out. Xiaohu executes him, and Mom cannot save Taeyoon on the trade kill. 5v4 for Weibo. Definitely hurting. Still a spot where Taeyoon can go nuclear in this one. Karis will not go for the tier 2 on the bot side. He's going to recall and teleport himself back in.
This is dangerous. This is so dangerous right now. One, Vampire could have it. Smite doesn't have it, but Taeyoon.
Oh my god, Cube, he gets pulled out of between worlds by the all-out. Breathe gets an exhaust thrown on his head. The Baron down below 3k. Are we really gonna Smite fight for this? There's charms coming down. Who's gonna get the chaos? It's Tian that picks up the Baron. In the middle of it all, Breathe able to execute Vampire, Cube, and Taeyoon. He waits too many bouncing blades from Light. And now they've got to run for the hills. Karis is trying to cover him, but down goes Cube. Taeyoon, maybe the next to fall here as Karis is trying to body block forward, but Light is getting closer and closer. Good spell shield, throws the Q out. Down goes Karis. It's Taeyoon trying to run desperately back to Mom, but all he finds is a fist to the face. Baron, ace, maybe series, done and dusted for Weibo.
Oh my god, WE, we just needed to slow it down. You can give them the Baron. That's the best part about this, is you can give them the Baron, but squeeze them for as much as possible. Monki now, he's caught out. Slayer, take a break, man. I am so baffled by WE, and with Baron, with 2 grubs and a Sivir, doesn't look like they're going to end. They're going to instead take the inhibitor, but WE may have thrown the game away 15 minutes ago over chasing for kills.
Yeah, I don't care about scaling Smolder at all anymore, because scaling Sivir is way worse at this point. You saw it in that last fight, where I'm sure we're going to get a replay. The auxiliary damage that Sivir's W gets in these fights where everyone's clumped up together is astronomical, and Light's going to get it back. I mean, is this guy going to be a full item at least nearly 2/3 of the way when he comes off this bag? You got a scaled up Victor. Let's go back through this headache of a Baron play.
This is fine, even if Monki goes down, right? Like, I don't think it's great. I think Vampire should have waited. Maybe Monki needs to kind of wait for the rest of the team, but from this position, this is okay for WE. Smolder doesn't have flash, but there's no engage tools now from the side of Weibo. And from here, what they can do is just slow this down. You have an Aurora who can kind of be a big nuisance. Vampire can slow the game down with these fights. Karis, even especially with this Rakan ultimate, should be able to be more impactful. But why are we sending it this late? Why are we trying to overextend and overfight our hand? The damage that you were talking about from Light, these ricochets from the Sivir are ripping apart WE and making it essentially unwinnable if we're going to just take front-to-back fights versus a Sivir.
It's the ugly side of the WE aggressive playstyle, is that sometimes they just throw all logic out. And fighting for a Baron without your jungler getting picked off, it's just a head scratcher. And WE are going to have a lot to learn from this series, because this series is over, folks. The Baron push is coming on 2 waves. They've got the inhibitors down. Cube gets a bounty tier in the top lane tier 2, but Nexus turrets are under fire.
Ain't no way.
Xiaohu eats up a Solar Flare for nothing. A hijack Chaos Storm as well. Nexus turret number 1 is going down. WE, now's when you decide to play slow. Now's when they're fearful. It's too late to play this way. You've got to defend your Nexus before it explodes. The series disappears like the wind. One more Nexus turret down. Tian's flashing after Taeyoon, who does drop down onto Mob, but Light has a GA even if he drops from all this damage, but he won't even relent. Taeyoon thrown to the back towards the fountain, the courtesy of Tian. That series is done and dusted. WE could have had it in a sweep game 2, but they're the only ones to blame, and Weibo will capitalize on it to pick up their 2nd series win of Group Ascent.
Screw it. We'll take that, boys. If you're a Weibo fan, we take those. You need every win you can get in this split right now with how Weibo have been looking. And it took a little bit for them to come online in every single one of these games. But WE snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, man. Twice! 2 games in a row of doing this stuff.
Twice.
It's the duality, though. Live and die by Monki. Live and die by how aggressive this team is going to look. And back to the drawing board, man. Honestly, the only person I feel bad for on WE is Teacher Ma. That guy is working with so much right now to try to get through this series and throughout this season.
On the flip side, though, I think this was one of the best 3-game stints I've seen from Light in a very long time. And
yes.
It was cool to see him playing, 3 different stylistic champions while doing it, right? He plays a pretty good Jhin, and then he gets himself on the Lucian. That's like a much more dynamic. And then he pulls out the Sivir, where you kind of just got to bide your time. And against WE, you know that if you play smart enough, they're just going to hand you some of this gold, and he runs away with it. This is an awesome series from Light, an awesome series for another bottom lane that we're hoping to gel more. You kind of led us into the series talking about it all. The quickest bottom lane I've seen gel so far of all the roster swapping right now has been Light and Crisp.
I'm glad to see it, because it was a damn shame to see Light in particular start to fade in his prowess and some of his laning that we saw from him with Hung and with Urha in Split 1 and Split 2. So glad to see that as much things has changed, things kind of stay the same. We brought back Crisp, and now Weibo are starting to climb in comparison. But some of the same issues. This team is notoriously slow to get stuff done in the early game. Xiaohu is still hit or miss as to whether or not we are going to get a good enough performance from him. It feels like if we just put him on stuff like Victor, especially with these builds that he's going on with the Victor, where he is just maximizing HP. We saw it in that game. We didn't touch on it too much, thanks to all of the absolute hooliganery that we got to see from Team WE. But he's going Rod of Ages, he's going Bloodletter's Curse, and the Rift Maker, so he has like somewhere up of like 1200 bonus HP for free out of his kit. Very difficult to take down, even with a Smolder stack on the opposite side. I am still really reeling from this WE performance, because they're kind of like the boys at this point. FPX were also one of the boys, but that project's gone. Mm-hmm. And they've only improved from split to split when you look at Team WE. This feels like a regression.
I wonder if this is also teams starting to the phrase that is utilized, like, figure out certain styles, right? Where it's like, after enough time, you can kind of understand that, all right, when you play WE, like, this is stuff Monki's going to try. And while, you know, that can be, I don't want to say that the entire league has figured them out. That's, like, kind of a very hot take to throw out. My point being, again, is we amplify the fact that 8-team group ascend, like WE, doing this against Weibo, you are not going to get to this point a game 3 if you're throwing single games against, again, AL, BLG, new look JDG, like IG. They already lost 0-2 to as well, making kind of similar mistakes that just didn't look as bad. It's a worrying trend here for the Vibes team from last split's playoffs.
This is also the first time that Weibo were able to take a series victory versus WE. So congratulations to them for breaking that history that we've only seen here in 2025. I think something that you had said very early on into the show was, how does Group Ascend look when there aren't 2 semi-scheduled wins, right?
Yeah.
You're no longer playing against Thunder Talk. You're no longer playing against a very weak Ninjas in Pajamas. So what does that actually end up doing for, you know, the teams here? And I think one of the things that we got to see from our lesser teams like an FPX and a Team WE is they didn't start off split too hot. They actually took a pretty long time, about week 4, before we start to see either of them really get into form and find their groove here in the meta. So it is early. I think there are still a lot of things here. This felt like a regression, like I had said. A lot of the bad habits from WE, you know, amplified to 10. You are in a slightly shorter season. Hopefully that they're able to, you know, with less games and with a slightly higher bar of execution with less teams here in Group Ascend, I am looking forward to whether or not WE can get their act together and kind of get back to being that team that is, I think, a fan favorite for different reasons other than we're going to try and win the split.
Right. I think that's a very good way to pump the brakes, because I think even us here casting this game, we maybe started to spiral a little bit with how this game progressed. But that's a great point to make. We're still early, so we can pump the brakes on, you know, maybe me labeling the fact that everyone's figured out Team WE. I'll pump the brakes a bit on that, but it is still something to take note of when it comes to the Vibe squad of Split 2's playoffs. On the other side for Weibo, as we get through these somewhat painstaking highlights here, all, again, player of the game. All right, does it land? Well, you know what? Give it a light because you robbed him last time. That's what I'll say.
Hell yeah. I'm okay with Light getting at this one. He very much deserves it. He's played so well this series. And if this is the start of Light getting back on his throne as a top-level AD carry, I'm here for it. Even if he has to drag Xiaohu's corpse throughout the rest of Split 3. I'm okay with it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm with it. And, you know, Breathe was a consistent force in this series as well. Tian on that Pantheon outside the early game, there were flashes. We'll see if Weibo can start, you know, putting things together. And I think, again, it really helps that it feels like they're going to get pretty consistent play out of their bottom lane. That should really be a huge first building block for Weibo going forward. And now, you know, 2-1. They've got the most series of the early phase here out of Group Ascent teams. Got to feel nice coming out ahead 2-1 out of those standings.
Still top esports looking down on you for a regular season. They're at the top. They're throwing peanuts. They already won their first matchup against Weibo.
But they were up there against all these other teams below them all regular season long. And what did that mean when we got to the playoffs, right?
Looking forward at Team WE. They have JDG coming up. They have AL, and they have Top Esports.
Oh, my God.
That's tough. That is a tough.
Did they start 05 split 2? I think they started 05 split 2, because then...
I think that's possible. I mean, it depends on what form we get from JDG. We're also expecting BLG and AL to continue, even with some of the form that BLG showed us at MSI. I think they're very much a cut above. There's our MVP for Light. Hope to see more throughout this season in split number 3. And that's it, Slayer. That's the end of our show.
Yeah.
We had one more game than I think we thought we were with how the series was looking, at least in game number 2 here. But I think some of our expectations were met. Top of show, we came in. Top Esports should handle business versus FPX. That definitely happened. We came into this series. We thought maybe WE are favorites considering their historical record this year up against this team. And there were moments, I think even pre-15 minutes, every single game, we could say that WE were at least in a winning position, if not outright the better team. But some of the inconsistencies, some of the soft edges around this team bit back at them, and that's where you're going to lose games against top-level players and players who have been playing for such a long time.
And that's the looming warning that we have for Team WE as they go through the rest of their group of set schedule. Like you pointed out, Ulk, it's going to be a rough one. Schedule's one thing, standings is another. Shout out Kai. We have updated standings. Let's take a look at those right before we get on out of here. Like you heard Ulk mention, Top Esports staring down at the rest of the pack, but Weibo gotta feel nice 2-1 through your first 3 series nonetheless, especially knowing that the 3 0-0s are going to be racing up the standings sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they haven't played those teams yet, and Weibo, looking at their next opponents, they play AL next. So good luck, guys. Thankfully, that won't be for another 4 days. So Weibo do get a little bit of a break. But yeah, Weibo's next opponents are AL, BLG, and IG. We might be in the same block talking about WE in the same way. So
can't lie, yeah, you're right. But hey, it's nicer if you're 2-1 going into that block, not 0-2. So that's some quick math for you there. That will almost all wrap up our show. But before we get on out of here, I do have another important, very important thank you to give out. Thank you very much to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, and Forest. Aaron Soup, Mung, Forest Without, and owners of. I gotta make sure I don't butcher this.
Silmaril. It's a Silmaril. This is a Lord of the Rings reference.
Yeah, I butchered that last time. I apologize, owners of a Silmaril. Thank you, all of those people I mentioned. Their pledge of financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. Elite Coffee supporters are super appreciated, so shout out to them. Like we talked about, coffee supporters in general. It's linked in chat if you want to check it out at the very end, but that will end the first Slayer and Alt cast of Split 3. It was an absolute pleasure, my friend. Wouldn't have gone through the cast with anyone else. It was awesome to see.
Well, there was no one else on the schedule, so that's right. That's true.
That's true, but my point still stands. I am going to go hit the hay. You can see the daylight behind Dimitri himself here. But before I do, I'll be making sure I remember last names out here. All jokes aside, guys, you'll have more LPL action coming, as you heard Ulk say. Many days straight of LPL here as we get through Split 3. We'll see you guys all tomorrow for more fun action on Summoner's Rift.